Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to bring the Monday Night Football Showdown slate between my Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. And we have another Millie Maker up top, $1 million to first, so a lot of money to be won on this Showdown slate. But if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos as well as live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you're unable to watch my videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. It's called the DKDFS Show. And if you have a minute or two, if you could leave a 5-star rating and review, that would help me out a ton. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I'll offer that on patreon.com. Link down below. NFL package will go over every single show on slate, all the main slates, obviously. Esports package that includes Call of Duty and CSGO, and then NBA package that obviously will be covering NBA preseason as well as NBA regular season. Only 2 weeks away from today, guys. And I do want to thank today's sponsor, Prize Picks. So, if it's your first time watching my videos or you're not familiar with Prize Picks, 2 different ways you can play for NFL. First way is you take over, under, and straight up fantasy points. Right now, there are 12 players posted for tomorrow. For example, Aaron Rodgers, 23 fantasy points. You're the under, do the over. Basically that simple. You can also mix and match sports as well. Or you can go over single stat if you feel better about passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, receptions, rushing TDs, pass completions. You can also play that way. So if you guys want to try it out, you can sign up using the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. I have a link down below. Get a 100% match up to $100. So you deposit using my code $100, you will get a free $100 to play with. And finally, I just want to give a special shout out to all you guys continuing to come back and support this channel, continuing to come back and watch all these videos. If you do enjoy all the content, if you could hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos and you don't want to go live. As always, I'll be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow before lock, kind of general Q&A, so make sure to check that one out, guys. And let's try to aim for 100 likes on this video. All right, so before we talk about players and their prices for the Monday night show on slate, let's look back lineup here from Sunday night. So Sunday night went really well for me. Now I played light, but finished 16th in this bigger tournament. My final lineup was Mark Andrews and the captain, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Travis Kelce, Hardman, and Byron Pringle. So what I was hammering home was I wanted to play both quarterbacks. I thought, I was actually surprised Lamar Jackson. He's 57% in this one. He's about 50% in the Millie Maker. Half the field faded him. I think that was a little bit of an overreaction, right? Because if you the Monday Night Football show, it's like last week, Lamar actually wasn't in the winning lineup after he was like 95% owned. So I think a little bit of recency bias maybe was the reason that he was only 50%. But again, that didn't make a ton of sense. I liked going to Mark Andrews in the captain because it allowed me to get those stars in with the 2 quarterbacks plus one of Hill or Kelce. I went Kelce. I had a much better game than Tyreek Hill. And 2 value plays that I went with were Cole Hardman and Byron Pringle. And hey, Byron Pringle got us there. Had that long touchdown catch. What a wild game, though. That was, most of the standalone games, like the Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night games so far have been really, really good games. This is one of the best games I've ever watched, this Kansas City-Baltimore game. So all in all, again, it was a really, really good night for myself as well as Patreon members. And again, we had another takedown mark. Let's see, $60 in this tournament into 7.5K. So that's a pretty decent ROI. We had a lot of other big winners as well, but this was the really big one. I want to give a special shout out again to Mark. And then if you're curious of what took down the luxury box, and this is the $22,000 entry, it was actually Lamar in the captain with Mahomes, Kelce, Robinson, Tucker, and Pringle. And Go Sixers Go actually had my lineup, which was the Mark Andrews one. So he won $20K. Again, if I would have spent $2,000 in this, would have won $20K, but I usually play the showdown slates a lot lighter than I do the main slates. All right, so that is it for the look back, guys. Let's jump into it. We'll start off on the Detroit side. And what I want to do first is go over some snap counts here. So taking a look at the running back position for Detroit, 2 guys played, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams. DeAndre Swift played 68% of the snaps, Jamal Williams 35%. At wide receiver, so a couple things to mention here. So Tyrell Williams is technically number 1 on the depth chart. He's out. He played 42% of the snaps. He got injured. Khalif Raymond is also questionable going into tomorrow. He played 75% of the snaps. So if Khalif Raymond is out, then it's going to be St. Brown, Benson, Cephas, probably the main three guys. But I'm sure some of you guys that play preseason DFS recognize Kevorol Hodge. He's the flat min price. I think he could get some run if Raymond is out. So yeah, they kind of spread it out. Again, they use 5 wide receivers, but again, Williams is not going to be playing tomorrow, and there's possibly no Raymond. So we'll get to those guys, and there definitely is some value there for Detroit. At tight end, Hockenson, no surprise here, played 85% of the snaps. He's their clear number one target, and I think he had 11 targets last game. Darren Fells played 29%, more of the blocking tight end, but is super, super cheap in this one. All right, we'll go over Green Bay in a sec. So let's break down Detroit. So we'll start off with Jared Goff at the top of 10K. It always feels like these average, like below average quarterbacks in the showdown sites go a little bit lower owned than they should. So, if Jared Goff is going to be like sub 50% owned, sign me up for it, right? Because this is a game they're going to be playing from behind. We can take a look at the Vegas odds too really quick. So 48.5 over under. The Packers are 11-point favorites. So, Detroit most likely is going to be playing from behind this game. I'm not super worried about what I saw from Green Bay in week 1. They're going to bounce back in a big way and probably blow out my Lions, unfortunately. But Jared Goff should be good game script. He threw the ball 57 times last game, right? Because they're playing from behind against San Francisco. So I think Goff's a pretty safe option here. And then Hockenson, again, he's their clear number one target. He had 11 targets last game, 8 catches and 11 targets. As I said, should be good game script. I'm not super scared of Green Bay in the defensive end, so Hockenson, I think, makes for a pretty solid spend up. I think he's going to go a little bit lower owned because we have guys like Davonte Adams, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones in the slate. Some of these Lions guys are just going to go a little bit lower owned. At the running back positions, we have Swift and Jamal Williams. Both had, I'll say, kind of outlier games, right? 8 catches on 11 targets for Swift, and then Jamal Williams also had 8 catches on 9 targets. It is a revenge game narrative if you're into that for Jamal Williams. I don't think both running backs are going to continue to average 10 targets a game, right? So it should be good game script, and Jared Goff has shown he likes dumping it off to the running backs. But the only thing I'll say about these 2 Detroit running backs is I think both that last game was an outlier performance for both of them. So don't expect 25 fancy points from DeAndre Swift, and don't expect 25 from Jamal Williams, right? They're going to split the work. Swift probably the more talented back, but Jamal Williams is still solid too. Both are at fair prices at 8.4 and 7.2K respectively. Now, wide receiver I mentioned, Khalif Raymond's a little bit banged up. He is questionable with a thigh injury, so that's definitely something to monitor because he actually played the most. If you take a look at the depth chart here for Detroit, so again, Tyrell Williams is number 1 on the depth chart. He's out. Khalif Raymond number 2. He's questionable. So we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Quintez Cephas, and Trinity Benson would be the top 3 wide receivers. And then Hodge could get some work here if there's no Raymond. So definitely some value here for Detroit. If Raymond does play, I think he makes her a pretty safe option because he'll probably play the most unless he aggravates that thigh injury. So Raymond definitely viable, and Tyrell Williams is out. Quintez Cephas had 3 catches on 6 targets. I think he's firmly in play for value. Lions kicker Siebert is fine. Probably doesn't have as much upside as some of these cheaper wide receivers, but still a safer target. Probably would lean to Mason Crosby on the opposite side, just so I'm more confident in Packers putting up more points. The Lions defense at 2.8K. I think the only way they really get there is they need a pick 6. So I talked about the defenses on the show tonight about I was avoiding them. The only way they're going to get there was the pick 6. Well, Kansas City got the pick 6, but how many points did they finish with still, right? I don't think it was a ton, maybe 5 or 6. So, not really looking at Lions defense. And then, St. Brown, I think he's a pretty solid value, 2.4, he had 2 catches and 4 targets. You really can make an argument for a lot of these Lions receivers because they're all cheap, and it's going to be good game script most likely. So, again, definitely some value. Fells, just a large field tournament play, right? He's their backup tight end, not going to play a ton. Trinity Benson, he had 3 catches and 6 targets. Again, he played 53% of snaps, so the third most on the team, firmly in play at 1K. Really, all these cheap Lions receivers are viable on this one. And then Hodge, too, at $200, who's formerly on the Cleveland Browns. If there's no Raymond, I think he could kind of mix in the number 4 wide receiver, possibly get some work. So large field tournament play there, too. And then Tom Kennedy is the last guy. He'll be probably the last guy in. I don't know if he sees any action in this one. And that is it for the Lions. Let's move on to the Green Bay Packers. All right, so let's go over some snap counts here. Now, what I want to mention is the game was a massive blowout, so the starters got pulled in the fourth quarter. So what you're going to see is you're going to see some of those kind of end of the bench guys have a little bit of action about a quarter of the game. So like Kylan Hill, right? He played 25% of the game, only came in the fourth quarter, and then you're going to see that for some of those receivers. So really for Green Bay, it's going to be Aaron Jones and then A.J. Dillon mixed in a little bit. Again, don't be super worried about the snap percentages for both those guys because they didn't play the fourth quarter. Same thing about the wide receivers. Like MVS, Davonte Adams, Allen Lazard are all going to play close to the entire game. And then Randall Cobb probably gets mixed in a little bit. Taylor, Rodgers, they only played because of the blowout. And at tight end, Robert Tonyan probably plays the majority of the game. Mercedes Lewis, veteran, will mix in a little bit. So that is what the snap counts look like for Green Bay. And we'll start at the top, Davonte Adams. I don't think I have to spend a ton of time here. You guys know he's a phenomenal play, right? He is one of the best wide receivers right now in the league. Insane upside, great matchup. Had an off game last game. I think the Packers come out angry in this one. So, really like Davonte Adams right at the top. Aaron Rodgers, again, I'm not super concerned from week one. I think he also bounces back in a big way. Phenomenal matchup here. One of the safer targets on the board. And even Aaron Jones a ton for. The only downside I'll say about Aaron Jones is it's not like he's a true bell cow back, but normally he's pretty efficient. And this is a great matchup. He is involved in the passing game too. So the top three guys for Green Bay all look really, really good. Again, I think Green Bay comes out angry in this one. Robert Tonyan at 6'4", kind of just a fine play in the mid-range. I don't love it, don't hate it. He is their number one tight end, is their best pass-catching tight end. Kind of just a fair play, right? I think is priced accordingly. A couple cheaper options. So MVS and Allen Lazard are going to play majority of the game. MVS 5'6", Allen Lazard 4.8K. Both guys definitely viable. MVS has that big play upside. So if you're shooting for the upside, maybe it's MVS. Lazard, maybe a little bit higher floor, but they're pretty similar players. Again, Davonte, the clear number one, the clear alpha with MVS, Lazard mixing as the number 2 and number 3 wide receivers. Packers defense of 5K, a little pricey, right? I know they're going up against the Lions, but if they were like 3K, would be a lot easier to get to them. 5K, a little pricey, a little bit pricey for me. Mason Crosby is at 4K. I think he's one of the safer options on the board. Green Bay, big favorites here. So, do prefer Crosby to the Lions kicker. And then A.J. Dillon at 3K, 4 carries, 19 yards, 1 catch on 2 targets last week. Expect, I would say, probably somewhere around like a 70-30, 60-40 split with him and Aaron Jones. Obviously, Jones getting more work. So, but A.J. Dillon, like this game is a pretty big spread, right? 11.5. So there's a chance this game gets out of control. Maybe in the second half, Packers are up by like 3 scores, and then maybe you get a little bit more A.J. Dillon than Aaron Jones. So Dillon, for sure, viable. Again, probably gets around 30 to 40% of the snaps. And then Randall Cobb at 2K, yeah, he's in play, I guess. Like, maybe plays about a third of the game, but I just think I would rather go to those Lions receivers at a similar price. And Mercedes Lewis, again, this is just a large field tournament play. He is like 40 years old, but somehow still in the NFL. More just out there for blocking, but who knows? I mean, he could always catch a touchdown. He had 1 catch last week. And Taylor, Rodgers, these guys were guys we loaded up on the preseason because the Packers were super thin, but they're not going to play unless this game turns into a massive blowout like it did last week. And same thing with Kylan Hill. I do like Kylan Hill. I think he's a talented back, but I don't think he sees much, if any, run if the game stays competitive. So that's really it for the team-by-team breakdown, guys. And that's going to do it for the video as well. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, would really appreciate if you could hit that like button. Let's try to aim for 100 likes in this video. Make sure to subscribe too, guys. Closing in on 10,000 subscribers. I know I've said that a lot. But yeah, hoping to get to that mark soon. Would really appreciate if you are watching and not subscribed to hit that big red subscribe button. And again, hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. I'll be live tomorrow. Have a good night, guys, and I will see you all tomorrow in the live stream.